I was connected to 27 people and 20 of them were in my family. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna post this video though. Let's see if it gains any traction. And 9 people saw it. And I was like, ha, that is 7 people more than my in-service just netted. So I'm gonna just keep this up. And so now we fast forward. We're 7 years later. I'm connected to just over 30,000 people that are all network professionals. And that is actually how you and I met. And it's been incredible. So now I just get to serve healthcare organizations and help them tell their story.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Kinney, I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome everybody to today's Medical Sales Leader. Today, you guys, if you don't yet know Rebecca Kinney, let me tell you, it's time that you follow her and get to know her. Becca is the owner of Cypress Rise Inc. And she's a small business owner. She helps medium to large medical organizations tell their stories on LinkedIn. And she comes to us with 15 years of experience in healthcare. And Becca, she started out working in sterile processing, a department that supports the operating room. So we can talk a little bit about that too, if you're not yet familiar with sterile processing. But for 7 years, she did this. And then she moved into medical sales for 8 years. And then something happened, which we're going to talk about in the show. Ooh. And so today she finds herself so darn happy. She hired a business coach and took the leap to quit her corporate job and follow her dreams. And Becca believes that when we teach, share our passions, and uplift others, everyone wins. So you guys, this is exactly why I have people like this on the show. Becca, welcome. You know, you're one of my favorite people on this planet. It's so nice to have you.
It is so awesome to be here. Thanks for having me, Claire.
Absolutely. So we tried to get some music for you guys. I'll see if I can overlay it in the show later. We might actually have a blooper reel to release later, but I had the great fortune to meet with her in person up here in the Pacific Northwest only a couple of weeks ago. So it's so neat when you get to finally meet people that you've known on LinkedIn for so long in the flesh. Like, it was great. We met for coffee. Becca bought me coffee.
Hey girl.
And we sat there. It was really awesome. So, what really drew me to you in that conversation, Becca, was, I think that we're all in this industry for different reasons. And I know, and I cannot wait for you to share a little bit more about your story. But what drew me to you that is that you do everything with intention and everything with a story behind it, which I think makes it a really perfect topic for the podcast that we're having today. So can you tell us a little bit about that journey you took from being in sterile processing to getting out of that into medical sales? And now you're helping businesses brand themselves on LinkedIn. Like what a journey, and what a journey to happen in the course of 1 decade. So please tell us a little bit more about your journey.
Yes, I would love to. And first of all, I don't know how it's possibly been 15 years that I've been in healthcare because I'm definitely not old enough. And I'm definitely not turning 40 this year. So,
I love it.
I'll be really honest. I grew up in a family that was all medical, aside from my dad, that was a jeweler. So my mom was a labor and delivery nurse, my brother a chiropractor, my sister an athletic trainer, my brother an ER nurse, and everybody was just in the medical field. Aside from me, who had this passion for business and somehow thought I would go to school to be a nurse or diagnostic ultrasound or one of the many great medical clinical options you have.
Right.
And I think I have enough college credits to probably have many of those degrees. But along the way, I learned I had a passion for business as well. So while I was in college, my mom hooked me up with the sterile processing manager of a local hospital and said, hey, why don't you get your foot in the door in the hospital? And I was like, okay, I don't even know what sterile processing is. I think sterile is a smell, right, Mom? She's like, well, yeah, honey, but it's a little more than that. So I'll tell the audience in case they're not super aware, sterile processing essentially gets all instrumentation, surgical sets, and items ready for procedures to make sure that they're safe for patient use. Lots of set assembly, lots of cleaning out bone reamers, lots of dirty work in making sure that the surgeons can have safe patient outcomes. I did that for 7 years. And towards the end of that 7 years, I had my business degree, business marketing, international business, international finance. And I was like, dude, I'm bored. I need more of a challenge. So I started asking the medical reps that came into our department, how did you get started? How did you get started? I would love to get my foot in the door in this industry. Most of them were male. And I was like, okay, I got this, I can do this. And I felt really, really deflated after having these conversations. They're like, Becca, you don't have sales experience. Really cool that you have a marketing degree. However, good luck getting your foot in the door. And there was a company that was coming in, and I noticed that they were based out of Birmingham, Alabama. And I was like, oh, I have not seen a rep 7-8 months. They were flying people in. I was like, how do I get in touch with this company? So long story short, I figured out how to get in touch with this company. Our director of surgery at the time had connections, and I started a conversation. They weren't so sure about hiring me either. They're like, you have no sales experience. You don't have the skill set we need. And I was like, yes, but I have clinical knowledge, device knowledge, and I know I can bring something awesome to the table. Can you give a girl a chance? And they did. And so I was in that role for 8 years. And just this last December, I stepped away. And I had been working on building my own business for about 4 or 5 years because I saw a real gap in the market when it came to speaking our truths online, educating in a unique way, and not just talking about ourselves, but finding a way to reach a broader audience. So I started using LinkedIn, and the story is a bit funny. I started out, I had gone to a hospital for an in-service. My daughter was 2 at the time. I had to get a babysitter to the house at 4 a.m. So I'm just setting the stage for you.
Oh, wow.
We're here at 4 a.m. Drive 3.5 hours to Idaho, deep in Idaho. I show up for this in-service, even stopped at Krispy Kreme on the way and got donuts because I
You
knew
brought donuts for the team? Oh,
yeah.
A plus.
A plus. And so I show up. I had this perfectly curated presentation. Everything was awesome. I tied their trends to the presentation, how I can specifically meet their needs in this in-service. 2 people were there.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my gosh, not only did I not reach anybody, but I also probably lost money today. And I was like, crap, this really sucks. And so I was like, you know what? I gave a really great in-service. I'm just going to pop into this little room over here, this little storage room in the hospital. And there I recorded my first LinkedIn video. And it was grainy and it was dark and I had a head cold. So I sounded horrible. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put this on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, let's go. I start typing on my computer. Apparently I had 3 LinkedIn profiles. None of which did I know the password for. I was connected to 27 people and 20 of them were in my family. And I was like, okay, I'm going to post this video though. Let's see if it gains any traction. And 9 people saw it. And I was like, that is 7 people more than my in-service just netted. So I'm going to just keep this up. And so now we fast forward. We're 7 years later. I'm connected to just over 30,000 people that are all network professionals. And that is actually how you and I met. And it's been incredible. So now I just get to serve healthcare organizations and help them tell their story.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And it's funny because when you're on social media, there's this huge pressure to have 10,000 followers and thousands of people seeing your video content. But I mean, let's just break it down to this little scenario. 9 people is a huge increase from 2 when it comes to getting your message out to the right audience. So it doesn't have to be massive. It's just got to be the right people. And there's such an opportunity to get in front of so many more people when you use your social brand like you do.
Right. And it takes time. It takes time. And I think that that's what a lot of people don't realize. It takes time to build a solid audience and gain traction. And even now, having a large audience, sometimes I'll post media that flops 100%.
Sure.
And I'm just like, cool, tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
And I think that that mantra, though, in healthcare and in medical sales in general, tomorrow's a new day. I'm going to wake up refreshed, ready to go out and serve, is so incredibly valuable as we grow.
Yeah. And, you hit the nail on the head. Go out to serve, right? I mean, we get so bogged down with hitting quota, being ranked, getting P Club year after year, but really in the end, if it comes from a place of service, that stuff kind of falls away. And I find that people who do operate in that way, find like they have a more fulfilling career in the first place, because they have this higher purpose that they're reaching toward that motivates them every day. So I want to hear a little bit about, what was it between you working in sterile processing and you said it was really hard to get in front of the right person to get into medical sales. So do you recall how you did it?
I do.
Okay.
I very, very vividly recall it.
Okay.
I had talked to the DePuy Synthes rep. I had talked to the Medtronic rep. I had talked to the Stryker rep. And I'm not going to lie, they made me feel kind of dumb. I was like, oh, who is this kid working in sterile processing that wants to be a part of our team? That's cute. And I felt like a little bit deflated. And then when I identified an organization that was coming into our facility on a regular basis that didn't have a vendor representative, I was like, how can I figure this out? Right. And our director of surgery at the time was going down to this company's headquarters. And I was like, okay, Taylor, let's talk. So you're going down to headquarters for this company that has no rep locally. You have a sterile processing technissician that really wants to be a rep. Can you hook it up, sister? Let's have a conversation. So I'm in decon one night, and this director of surgery was interim. So she was known for being fierce. She came in and right off the top got rid of 45 staff members. Oh, wow. So this was like fear of God woman, who I'm great friends with today, by the way. Yeah. Real scary. So my cell phone rings one night. I worked evening shift. It was 10:15 at night. It rings and it's the director of surgery, Taylor. And I was like, oh crap, am I getting fired this day? I'm definitely getting fired this day. And I answered and she's like, hey, mind you, let's put into some time zone perspective here. It's after midnight there. Oh. And I'm like, okay, what's going on, Taylor? How can I help you? I went Harvard business voice for this call. Right. Can I help you? And she's like, hey, I have this person from the company and this person, and they're all with me. And I told them how great you are and that they need to bring you on as their rep. And I was like, okay, all right, well, you're pretty awesome. Like maybe let's set up a call for next week, Monday or Tuesday when it's not midnight, that'd be super cool. And let's talk about this. And I will not lie to you. That was the scariest process ever. Going through the interview process. I did.
What was so scary about it?
I didn't know what I was doing.
Sure.
I had never sold before. They were asking me to explain qualifications I didn't have. And I was scared crapless. I was like, my voice was shaking. I was nervous. And it was even crazier when they flew me across the country to interview. And I I hadn't traveled a whole lot at that point. And it was just very, very intimidating. And I remember I was still I was huddled in the basement so that you couldn't hear the dog barking or my kid wouldn't start crying. Because at this point she was really little. I think she was 16 months old or something. So I had mom come over to watch the kid. I went downstairs. My voice was shaky. I was nervous. I was sweaty. And I just kept going at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that there's so many opportunities in front of us all the time, but it's almost like we miss them until sometimes we always miss them, but you recognize, okay, one big deal that you could chat with other reps who were coming in. You're like, I want what they have. I want to be where they're at. And then two, you picked up that technology was in your hospital, but nobody was there to represent it. Like that, I think, is the kind of proactive attitude you've got to have to break in anywhere. It almost doesn't matter what we want to do. It's finding out those opportunities that other people are missing and maybe we've missed for a while and trying something new. I mean, that's really why a lot of people, I mean, listen, does the world need another podcast? Probably not. But here's the thing. There's people like you who do things that are so far out of the box, so far out of the norm of applying online, following the process that everybody follows. So I really love to find these little things that you do that set you apart, and it shows at every turn. So, okay. So now you're in this role and you're loving it to a point. You're finding out, okay, maybe this isn't for me after all. Can you kind of talk us through like what red flags were coming up for you that sold you on maybe doing something different than just working for a company, period?
Well, I realized early on, working for any corporation at all, that you are disposable. You can be let go at any point and they will have a replacement in no time.
Yeah.
So I was like, how do I future-proof my career?
Yeah.
How do I go about doing that? Because I want to be authentically myself, and I want to, I just, not that it's all rainbows and butterflies and fun, but like how can I enjoy what I'm doing every day? Because the part of my job that I enjoyed at the time was working with clinical staff, was educating, was seeing the teams get these moments of, whoa, Becca, I didn't know that before, but this could change a patient's life forever. Those are the moments I live for. The moments I didn't live for were the process improvement plans, were the corporate quotas, were you must achieve a certain number, the competitive nature of corporate America that says, even though you were P Club last year, you're bottom of the totem pole this year. I'm like, but am I really? Because my quota went way the crap up, man. So really, I'm not bottom of the totem pole. You just overinflated my quota in a small territory.
Right.
So nothing changed with me. Your expectation of me changed.
Right.
So, it's just me realizing that the expectation was going to continually rise for my performance. But was I prepared to meet that level of work? Meaning, was I willing to sacrifice my time with my family? Was I willing to sacrifice my time with the people I loved? And I mean, for 7 years, I put in a solid 12 to 14 hours a day, every day. And I'm not going to lie, I was tired, really, really tired. And I found that I would lose a little bit of me along the way until I started getting invited to write for blogs or industry magazines or be on live recordings on LinkedIn. And I was like, ooh, I can feel this little like piece of ice becoming a snowball, and it's rolling and it's rolling and it's rolling and it's getting bigger. And so is my opportunity to bless and reach people.
Oh, I love that. Yes. So then you recognize, okay, now because I'm finding these things out about myself, right? We've all got to figure it out what our strengths are and what we want out of our career, because can you have a fulfilling career at a medical sales company, at a biotech place that of course you can. Of course you can have a fulfilling career at a company. But when it stops satisfying us, or when it's not quite enough, or when we get that feeling of, you know what, it's been a wonderful run, I think it's time to challenge myself in a new way, or in a new product, or in a new area, or so on and so forth. Maybe I want to lead people. You listened to that, and then you were able to impact so many more. And in your case, on a company level, on a B2B level, which I think not everybody gets to try. So now Cypress Rise, tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Cypress Rise And maybe, I mean, I'd love to hear too, how the seeds that you planted of building up your personal brand on social media, how that's impacted what you do now for companies. How did you see there was a bridge between the two, and that companies needed to start taking advantage of this, platform as well to impact more people?
Okay. Yeah, that is a loaded question.
Huge question.
Huge
Tell me
question.
all about your life.
I got you.
Yeah.
No, I think, I realized that the media that I was seeing from surgical companies, from CEOs of companies, from different healthcare brands, capital equipment companies, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
So boring, so
Sure.
boring. And I didn't feel like I was learning anything from these companies. I didn't feel like I walked away feeling like anything that I consumed was about how I can become a better professional or how this company solves a problem. So I was like, man, how do we make this interesting?
Yeah.
How can we tell the story of the people in an organization that make it up? How can we tell a story of how this company solves problems, or how multiple companies solve problems? When I work with my clients today, I work with multiple healthcare companies, and I challenge them often to say, how are we making this about the people that you serve? Because oftentimes we turn everything towards ourselves.
Sure.
Which I guess is how sometimes I don't care when I put a video on LinkedIn that performs horribly. Because what if it reached one or two people and they were the right people? So as companies build out a message, I challenge them often to say, okay, your mission statement says that this is what you do. Okay, but what you're asking me to create has nothing to do with your mission or your core values or who you are as an organization. So are you here to make some money, or are you here to truly serve people? And as I've gotten closer with these companies, I've started to attract the right clients that are like, oh, hot dang, I am on fire to work with you because you care. You've created a solution that solves problems, and you genuinely care about your team. I can tell in the first discovery call whether or not it's a team I want to work with or not.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What do what are some of the things that come up that you hear when you're meeting with that team for the first time that tell you, okay, these people know how to work together and they respect each other, all that stuff?
They listen to each other. They're open to feedback. They're energetic. They're CEOs of companies that aren't so far detached that they still want to have a conversation with you. Like the CEO is often involved in the onboarding process of what I do, of these healthcare companies, because they're like, we have a team. We're a company that's growing. We want to keep growing. How do we go about strategizing to do that? I was like, you know what? I have a solution for you. We do need to build out a strategy for your organization. And guess what? I want you to be the hero. Your marketing team is the hero. Everybody on your team, you are the voice of your company. And I'm just going to take that and I'm going to pour some sugar on it, I think the other day when I had a call with one of my clients on a monthly call, I was like, okay, guys, my job is to take your margarita cup and I'm going to be the little bit of paprika and salt and sugar that's all on the rim. And we're going to make it awesome. But you guys are the whole drink. You're the cup, you're the lime, you're the flavor. I'm just going to help it shine. And that's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah. Do you think that companies typically have a good handle on what their mission and vision statement really means? Like, do you feel like companies say what they think they should in a mission and vision? Or do you think they really generally play out what their mission and vision is?
Ooh, I think it depends on the company. I honestly think sometimes the larger the company, one of my larger clients that I work with, I think that the more people and the more breadth that the company gets, the more diluted it gets in many ways, or the more unaware it becomes, or the company shifts and evolves, but their message does not. So they're still saying the same thing they said before, but they're a different version of themselves. It would be like me delivering as a content creator, delivering the exact same content that I delivered in that stuffy closet at a hospital 7 years ago. If I was still delivering that same message, I'm pretty sure I would have lost people.
Yeah, sure.
Guaranteed. So
Sure.
I don't know. I think that most organizations want to be aligned with their core values and their mission, but somewhere along the way it gets lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it comes to then creating content that aligns with that mission, what sort of things do you use, or what methods do you use to start pulling from who they're trying to reach to create the right content to reach the right audience? How does it go?
It looks like building out a strategy that usually takes me about a week for a company to build out. It's very drawn out. It's taking a look at where they're at today. It takes a look at past metrics. It takes a look at ideal clients that they're trying to reach, as well as the positive business outcomes that they are specifically trying to achieve. And then it goes even deeper to say, okay, where have you done it before? What clients have benefited from what you do? And then who is your team? What makes your organization freaking bomb? I want to know those people. And I want to share those people and celebrate those people with your audience, because your people make up your company. So if we're not ever sharing who they are, I could give two craps if you have the most if you can solve world hunger. That's freaking great. But what is the team that helped you solve world hunger, and how did you get there? Because people don't know that. So just really helping build out a true strategy, and then you test the waters.
Yes.
Sometimes it's gonna fail. Sometimes it stinks. But with continual and ongoing content, it continues to grow. Like that snowball I was talking about, where it's like, oh, there's a little bit of passion, and then it grows, and then it grows, and then it grows. So it's a patience game, truly.
Yeah. I love that, because I think, again, it's not that quick win. It's a little bit of a long game, but I think just like you're running say you're in medical sales right now and you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I've got to get into Swedish hospital. I've got to get into UCLA, a major academic center. Building trust takes time. It takes time in the field. It takes time on a team. It takes time on social media. And so I really like that you conquer the fear, and you do it for your clients too, by getting out there and keeping after it. Even if something bombs, listen, social media is, we're kind of at the whim of what everybody's feeling like listening to right now. And one thing I know that you talk about a lot is that you will fall on the sword for your clients first when it comes to social media, right? Like you will try to do the vulnerable thing and try new content that's a little scary or new or different, so that you see how it works instead of your clients having to try it on their own. Right. So
my profile is a beta test.
Yeah, exactly.
Continual beta test. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure they love that.
As I heard you talking, it just made me think, trying to get into Swedish hospital, trying to get into UW. It's a long process, right? But it got me to thinking that a lot of times, I remember those desperate months in sales where it was end of quarter and you were responsible for somehow coming up with another 200 grand in sales.
Right.
And so I would get desperate enough that I would compromise my own values and my trust with my clients by asking them things that I had no permission asking. Asking for a sale that I hadn't earned, asking for permission to be in a place where I did not earn, all for the sake of the number. And so like my key takeaway on that would be like, you have to do a heart check. Does this feel right in my gut? There's uncomfortable because it's out of my comfort zone. But then there's this crosses the line here. And this is not what's in the best interest of patient safety or this hospital or compliance or regulatory guidelines. This is in only my best interest as a representative trying to hit their quota. So I would advise to anybody that's out there to say, hey, if you're looking to do something that's just in your best interest to hit quota, step the frick back, man.
Don't do it.
You're out of line. You're out of line, even if your company is asking you to. So, I mean, I would say always check in with why are you doing it? Same as content creation. Why am I creating this today? Who am I creating it for?
Yeah.
You got to check in.
That's checking in. Doesn't that sort of unlock it, right? Because our career is not full of quick wins, is it?
No.
Not in this space. Not when the end result is touching a patient life. And so I love that idea of checking in, because it's, first of all, so important so that you can sleep at night, right? As you're trying to make sales, yes, but at the end of the day, what we're doing is bigger than ourselves. And so can you sleep at night with what you're doing? Are you leading with your values at heart and not compromising them? Like you said, even if your manager insists that you do so, don't do it. If you're trying to get the quick win on social media, right? Like you can go out and you can blast 100 connections a day with an I need a job request, but that's not the way to get anybody to pay attention and really build the trust in you and want to help you. Right. And my favorite is our influence should be consistent enough across our career to go beyond whatever name tag we're wearing. So if we start at one company, our doctors know the way we do business and our colleagues know the values that we hold when we conduct ourselves. That shouldn't change regardless of where you go and work. So I love your focus on core values and mission. I think that it's a really important one. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's just, and that is what will create that long-term trust with your clients. Like I remember sometimes sitting in directors' offices saying, you know what? This solution that I offer is good, but this one's better.
Yeah.
You will have a better patient outcome. And I highly recommend that you work with my friend Brooke, who works with this company, not me. And I can tell you, not only will that build trust in your relationship with the executive or director, it will have a better patient outcome. So you have to think long-term in anything that you're creating. Anything, whether it's media, whether it's your career, whether it's building relationships, what are the long-term implications of the decision I'm making right now? Will it impact somebody in a positive way? Yes or no? And if you can't give it 100% yes, out. It's time for me to tap out, do a little check-in and take off. Like, Got to check the pulse here, put a little oximeter on here. Is there still some oxygen? Are we still breathing, or have we drank the wrong Kool-Aid? I don't know.
Yeah. So important. I mean, at the end of the day, which we all love to say in sales, I'm pretty sure every podcast that I'm ever going to record will at some point say at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, you've got to be able to live with yourself too. Right. I mean, how good does it feel to get that cheap win and erode trust with someone you work so hard to build it with? It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So I love the slow approach here of being steady and committed to the values that you have. And I think that's the way to do good business. And it's clear that for you, obviously, this is the way that you've done business when you were in sterile processing, when you were in medical sales, and then now with Cypress Rise. And I think that's why I'm sure your clients can feel that.
Right. Because nothing has anything to do with me.
Yeah.
None of it. It has to do with the organizations that I'm working with. It has to do with the patient laying on the table. Because I remember when my dad was in open heart surgery and we thought he wouldn't make it, and I had to be a family member sitting in the waiting room. And that was a deep check-in moment for me in what I was doing in hospitals. So, it's not about us. None of it is. This podcast isn't about me or you or promoting what you do or promoting what Becca does and Cypress does. This is about the audience listening. Are they receiving value? Are they being blessed? And are we bringing them something freaking great? Hopefully you guys love it. I don't know.
That is the goal. I mean, we tried to dance when we first got in here. We tried to bring some entertainment too. We'll probably get it together the next time. We can just dance without the music for now.
We can dance without the music. Yeah.
Who needs it? We'll put it all in post. We'll add it in the post show. But listen, you guys, if you have been inspired by this message today from Becca, I know that, there is a real difference between being great in sales and leading with heart and conviction. And that's really what I see in you. And that's why I follow you. That's why I was so glad we were able to meet. And then I'm hoping that you'll come back and we could talk more about some specific strategies next time. Thank you so much for being here today. And you guys, if you want to follow Becca, if you want to connect with her, find her on LinkedIn. And also she shared her email with us today. It's info@cypressrise.com, CYPRESSRISE.com, info@cypressrise.com. So please connect with her, support Becca. She's doing incredible things for healthcare companies who want to keep their patients at the center of their mission and vision. And so I invite you to connect with her right now. And so Becca, thank you so much for your time today. And hopefully you'll join us again here in the future.
I can't wait. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, friend. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
1, 2,